Welcome to Lovedbyjane, your home for lifestyle, wellness and personal development. Starting my channel with the Inspired Chat series. Let's feel inspired together, hope you enjoy, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
So I'd like to welcome Abigail Barnes today, and thank you for being with us. Abigail, for anyone who doesn't know, is an entrepreneur, founder of Success by Design Training, author of Time Management for Entrepreneurs and Professionals, host of the Productive Wellbeing Show, and also creator of the 888 Formula and a fellow Live Well champion. So it's incredible to have you here with us today, Abigail. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. If you could start by telling us a little bit more about yourself, please.
Well, you did my intro. I am a time management author, speaker, trainer, and my mission in life is to introduce the 888 formula to 1 million people by 2025, with the aim of helping them to reclaim an hour of time a day to do more of what they love with the people they love.
That's really helpful. Yeah, we're all short on time, especially with the demands of this world now, with everything we have to do on our phones constantly, so yeah, we need to regain some of that time, I think.
For sure.
And what inspired you to start your Success by Design training?
Well, if I go back to life before the business, so I have a degree in marketing, a postgrad in marketing, and I worked in investment management, asset management, and hedge funds in the financial sector doing marketing. But there was always something in me that wanted to run my own business, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know anyone else who did it. My sort of role models at the time were Richard Branson, and that was about it. Life isn't how it is now. It sounds crazy to say that, but it really wasn't. I mean, the internet was just sort of starting to become a thing. Technology and everything has moved so fast. It's incredible. And so I always wanted to do this business thing, but I didn't know how to do it. And one day my boss came to me and said, Abigail, we're going to send you to America on a work business trip. And I thought that this was going to be the answer because I couldn't see any way to do the business. So I was excited to get sort of international travel with my job. I was being flown business class to Boston, and I was supposed to be there for a week of meetings. So I was super excited. I arrived, my friend collected me, took me to her parents' house. We had dinner. I woke up the next day with a bit of a headache that very rapidly went from a headache into black and white lights flashing in front of my eyes, to being sick in a dustbin, to being paralyzed in my body, to her mother calling an ambulance. And by 8 o'clock on that Saturday morning, the 25th of February 2012, I was being taken to a hospital with no idea what was wrong with me. 24 hours later, woken up by a doctor and being told that at the age of 32, I'd had a stroke. So for me, this was my spiritual awakening, if you like, my start over, my second life, my opportunity to just say, even though I don't know anybody who does this, and even though I don't know how I'm going to do this, I'm going to figure it out, because I've recognized that this life that we're all living has an end, and I'd seen the end, and I'd understood that I didn't want that to be the end. So I was just going to do whatever it took, however it took. So for the last 9 years, it's been a crazy roller coaster of personal development, business development, and learning the job on the go. And it turns out, Jane, that nobody else knows what they're doing, and everybody else is doing this. There is no secret rule book. There is no special magic pill that you can take that just magics you there. It is literally about learning on the job, the same way as in my job, I learned on the job. So there we go. That's kind of the journey in a nutshell.
Yeah, very scary realization to have there. And like you say, a bit of a wake-up call that, just to go for it. And also the way we push ourselves too much and need to focus on that time for ourselves as well. And And obviously with your experience of that and the pandemic that we've all been in, and for anyone who may be struggling with that work-life balance, what's the best advice that you could give us all?
So I think we'll cover that when we talk about the 888 formula, but just to answer your question specifically right now, the biggest piece of advice I could give anybody, that I give myself day in, day out, is boundaries.
Yeah.
Setting the boundaries and understanding that these 24 hours that we have every single day are ours, and we get to decide how to spend them, how to invest them, and what we do with them, and that the boundaries are what is going to help us to avoid this burnout, which is inevitable without them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, we all think that there's some success formula that everybody else has got, but there isn't really. It is, like you say, a learning curve, and just going with it as you go with the flow, like if you're learning within a job or a different career. So yeah, absolutely. What's the best way that someone can aim for better success in their life and work then?
So I would say, first of all, you have to identify what success means to you. And that sounds like such a simple thing, like, yeah, well, obvious. The things in life that are going to change your life are simple, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're easy. And so to do this, you will need to sit down with a piece of paper somewhere, anywhere, in nature, in your garden, in a quiet spot with a candle, maybe even take it like a notepad to the bath. I mean, there are ways of doing it in the bath without it getting wet. And just asking yourself the question, what does success mean to me? And writing down what comes to you without judgment, without fear, without worry, without like, but what will other people think? This is ridiculous. And success can mean, monetary value. Success can mean time value. Success for some people, when I ask them, is literally having an hour where they do nothing. So I'll say to people, what would you do with an extra hour? Because people define success sometimes as having more time. So I say, okay, fine. What would you do with an extra hour? And so I get the answers like, oh, I'd invest it in my side hustle, in my family, in my career, in personal development, in sort of working out, in the gym, in my hobbies. And then some of the answers that have been coming back recently, and I would say it is off the back of the pandemic, have been things like, I would just spend it doing nothing. I literally would love to know that I had an hour that I didn't have to do anything in, so that I could just be. And I'm like, fantastic. And so success perhaps is the ability to just be.
Very true. I like that. That's really good advice there. I think, like say, even like the start of a week, it's so difficult because you're always saying to yourself, you see your diary full up and it's like, oh, it's just more hours in the day.
Totally. And here's the interesting thing, like, we all get the same 24 hours.
Yes.
But we don't all have the same belief about time. And what I mean by that is how we are using those 24 hours is creating the life that we have.
It's very much being mindful of your time. And like you say, that setting aside that time to do nothing for an hour is so beneficial to your well-being and your productivity. So yeah, it's kind of essential.
And here's the thing, if you don't have an hour, 8 minutes. So this is something that we teach, is the 8-minute secret, is that 8 minutes can change your life. And
very true.
8 minutes goes to 16 minutes, goes to 24 minutes, and soon enough you get to an hour, but you build it 8 minutes at a time.
Perfect. I love that. So when you started your journey, you obviously mentioned Richard Branson, but are there any other entrepreneurs that have inspired you along the way?
Along the journey, I've sort of come across people like Mel Robbins, who I found really inspiring with the 5-second rule. Carrie Green, who has created a business called the Female Entrepreneur Association, has hugely inspired me on the journey because I sort of crossed over with how she's run her business and attended some of her events and read her book and met her in person, etc. Just I love to meet people who share the truth behind the journey, behind the story, who sort of are prepared to say it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's up to you, and you get what you put in, you get sort of a return on your investment, if you like. So I would say those are my big ones. Brene Brown as well, her TEDx talks are absolutely amazing. I'm trying to think specific women. Oprah Winfrey, we couldn't be where we are without her. And then just people that I've met at networking events and different people who've sort of helped me and supported me. There's this phrase that says that as the tide rises, so do all the ships. And I think it's so important that we all raise each other up however we can, because there is no competition in this. We're all, even though we might be saying the same thing, people resonate with different voices and messages. So it's not about competition, it's about how can we help raise consciousness for the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so inspiring to be around other, people that are influential to us and that inspire us to get up every day to be a better version of ourselves, and inspire us to face those challenges, like you say, that we all have personal challenges that we go through, and they just give us that little bit of nugget to keep us going. So yeah, really helpful. And going back to when you were talking about how we can start maybe with looking at just 8 minutes a day. Could you tell us a bit more about your 888 formula?
Yeah. So the 888 formula is the simplest way to divide a 24-hour day based on science and society. So science says that we need to sleep between 7 to 9 hours. So let's call that 8. And then society says that we should be working 8 hours. So then the middle 8, we call this the jam in the 888 sandwich, is everything that's left. And so this is the activities, this is your life, this is your buying the food, cooking the food, eating the food. This is the buying your clothes, wearing your clothes, washing your clothes. This is the maintenance of your house, your flat, wherever you live. This is your relationships with your family, with your friends, with your partner. If you don't have them, then it's the relationship to get them. It's your commute prior to 2020. It was your commute time. And for some people, that could be 4 hours in total of their day, like 2 hours there, 2 hours back. And it's your exercise, it's your hobbies, it's everything. And the reason that the formula has been so transformational around the world is, first of all, I said this earlier, the simplicity of it. But second of all, it's such an instant way to identify, well, hang on a minute, I'm not sleeping 8 hours. I don't really have any time for my life. And I'm working about 16 hours a day. So people can straight away start to see where they are out of balance in their life. And then the work that I do with them is helping them to make the changes in the area that they want to really focus on to improve. And we tend to start with sleep because we are way more emotional when we're not getting enough sleep. And when our emotion is higher, our intelligence is lower, which means that we're not making the soundest decisions in our career, in our business, in our life. So getting even half an hour more sleep can really, really change your life, change the game. And then looking at how to be more productive in work so that you can start to free up the time. And then obviously with 2020 and people not having to commute so much, people got that time back again and are starting to recognize the value of maybe working hybrid or working more remotely or flexible working, so that they are not spending their life commuting. So it's interesting times for that sort of particular area of time and life management.
Absolutely. And like I say, sleep is so important, and it's an area so many people struggle with, and I myself definitely struggle with. And it's trying to get into those routines of looking after yourself and making sure you get that time, and breaking it down is really effective formula, I think, to try and see the areas in your life that need working on and where you can get that maybe 8 minutes in, or then, like I say, get half an hour, and then it'd be highly beneficial to you in the long term.
100%. And so the 8 minute secret is around sort of how you can make time for yourself 8 minutes a day. And it's on the basis that making a cup of tea or coffee, it's about 8 minutes. Cleaning your teeth, it's about 8 minutes. Going to the bathroom, it's about 8 minutes. These are things that we do, that we don't sort of say, oh no, I'm not going to do them. Like, we just do them. And so the point is that you can make that 8 minutes, you can make that time. And then when we're working with clients to sort of help them to realign their 888s, we're looking at what they can do to add 15 minutes here, to move 15 minutes from there. And we're not saying that 888 is the formula to aspire to, because different people need different amounts of sleep. So the average person needs 7.5 hours sleep. So there's that extra half an hour that you can do other things with. You can meditate with, you can do whatever you want. You can do mindfulness activities. So that's why we've called that pillar rest rather than just pure sleep.
Absolutely. Really, really helpful formula that is, and breaking it down, because it always seems so overwhelming when we try and change a habit or a lifestyle change, and you think to yourself, how am I going to do that? But just breaking it down like that and thinking of it in terms of no different to the time it takes to make a drink, it's so much easier for your brain to engage with that and think, yes, this is achievable. And then gradually, as you do more, like you say, it can turn into half an hour, or you get that hour. So yeah, and we've had to reflect so much over this last year, and this hybrid of working now gives us the chance to do that and prioritise things that, we want to change ourselves. So I love it. That's a brilliant formula. Absolutely love that. And I know obviously your passion, one of my favourite things that I love that you always say about your health being your wealth, obviously with the experiences you've had. And I would ask, what are your top tips for looking after your well-being then for the rest of 2021?
Yeah, so just to kind of go back to like life before and life after. So I used to be one of these people who said sleep is negotiable, like to get everything else done, it doesn't matter about sleep. So I would say the number one thing for anybody is sleep. And even if it is just getting 15 minutes more, 30 minutes more, because we sleep in 90-minute cycles. So if you were going to take a nap, a 30-minute nap is going to help you to recharge your energy. A 45-minute nap isn't going to be as good, because with this 90-minute cycle, we'd be waking ourselves up just when we're in the deepest part of the sleep. So we're not going to wake up refreshed. So we either do 30 minutes or we do 90 minutes. So it sort of starts to matter like how much additional sleep you're getting and how you build it up. But a great book, because I'm not a sleep expert, but a great book to read for anyone who's interested. It might scare you into sort of paying attention to your sleep, but sleep is essential for us. It's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Now, he explains sleep and what is happening and how our body is repairing, it's resetting, it's rejuvenating, it's regenerating. If we want to look fresher, if we want to look healthier, sleep is going to help with that. Water is also going to help with that. Nutrition is also going to help with that. But sleep is one of the key ingredients. So number one thing, get more sleep. Number two thing, drink more water. So I tend to drink about 4 pints of water a day, and I sometimes find it difficult to drink water. So I got one of these silicone straws from an online provider. There are many online providers out there. I'm not going to give them free advertising. But so drinking water, and that's not to say that I don't have my caffeine, but I limit how much caffeine I have these days, because I recognize that the impact that it has on my my energy levels throughout a whole day. So sleep, water, nutrition, just be aware of how you feel after what you eat. And that's not saying eating one thing or another thing is good or bad. That's just saying every single body is different. Food is fuel. If you imagine that you are a high performance car, so let's say like a Ferrari or a Porsche or a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, you wouldn't put an inferior petrol or charge into that car. You would really think about what you were doing and how you were looking after it. And this body that we live in is like that. So it's really about us thinking, hang on, is this good for the machine? I call the body the machine. I talk about it in the book. Because I recognize through sort of the near-death experience that I hadn't truly been looking after my body, looking after my machine. There was a medical reason why I had the stroke. but in all honesty, had I not had the stroke, I probably would have had a burnout, just from the fact that my lifestyle at that time was work, 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 work. As I said, sleep was negotiable, and I ate for convenience, and I wasn't alone. So those would sort of be my top tips. And then a final one is just be aware of what you're feeding your brain with day in, day out. So what you're watching, who you're listening to, who you're hanging out with. Is it positive and uplifting? Is it slightly negative and draining? Because that is going to affect your overall how you're showing up in life and the results that you're getting, because energy attracts, and the energy that you have is going to attract to you what you're putting out. So if you're feeling negative, you're going to get more negativity.
Amazing tips there, perfect for your well-being, both in life and work. So yeah, love those tips, and definitely things that I prioritize as well. And yeah, I didn't used to, and definitely noticed the difference, that's for sure. So yeah, anybody that's listening, Abigail's tips there, they're a must. So I would like to obviously thank you very much for joining us today. It's been really good talking to you and getting all your advice. Obviously, for anyone listening, I would like to let them know if they can reach out and how they could work with you, any trainings that you've got coming up, or where they can find your website.
Awesome, thank you. So one thing that we did last year in 2020 that we've started again by popular demand is something called the 25-day reset program. And the reason that this program works, like all of the other things that we do, is simplicity. So in the reset program over 25 days, it's a group program, and people set 2 goals to focus on over the 25 days. And it sounds like it's not enough, but how we do one thing is how we do everything. So in that 25 days, if you achieve those 2 goals, it's going to give you a dopamine hit and an energy high, which then is going to inspire you to be able to be more, to do more, to have more. And the program just works so well. So we started it again in September. We run it sort of every month from the start of the month to the end of the month, and people can join monthly to stay in just for the month, or they can stay in the group and do another reset every month until it starts to become who you are, just setting goals, achieving goals, setting goals, achieving goals. And so that is something that I absolutely love. And in the current group, we've got people from 7 different countries around the world, like America, Dubai, got people from Brooklyn in America, and then we've also got Beverly Hills. So we've got the East Coast and the West Coast. And it's just so fun, because everybody gets to meet people from all over the world. And just be inspired by them. And then obviously we've got my book, which is a great way for people to get started if they feel like they don't have enough time. It's a 5-step guide and process to reclaiming your time and turning your time into productivity. I'm sure we're going to leave all the links in the show notes afterwards.
Absolutely.
I hang out quite a lot on Instagram more than anywhere else, and LinkedIn. So I would love to connect with people on both those platforms, and everything to do with business is on successbydesigntraining.com.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Abigail. It's been so lovely to speak to you, and you've given us some amazing tips there. And yeah, anybody will put links below, so make sure that you do check that out and get in touch with Abigail if you want to know more. Thank you so much, Abigail. It's been lovely to talk to you.
And you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.